Justice Thomas has been on the judiciary for 33 years. I think that's about how long he's been there.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah, considering
it was so disappointing then, it's still disappointing now.
Well, considering the controversy that was surrounding it when it happened in the first
place. There were
place.
a lot of things that I was thinking about that. I've been reminiscing on that, and it's really interesting to me. That was the first time that I realized that the credentials and the kind of people that could get on the court were just, that was the first time I noticed they really let it go. That was when I'm like, okay, so somebody can just be kind of lechy and disgusting and just get elected to the highest court in the land. Okay. So that that was the first time for me that I realized that qualifications were of no import anymore.
The one thing I will say to our good friend Metalopoly, who thinks that I'm insulting all Southern people by saying that there is a racist element that still exists in South Carolina where he happens to be. It does. Like, stop pretending like it doesn't exist. Now, you want to say that it's 5 to 10% of the population? Fine. But guess what? We live in a country where 5 to 10% of the population that believes in that is getting, 25 to 30% representation in the state house in places because of gerrymandering, because of the way that the system is set up. You can't ignore that the system is messed up.
Exactly. So that's why when we were looking at the Kavanaugh hearings, for me, it was another Groundhog Day example. We're just taking in another misogynist, belligerent person and putting them in the highest court in the land. Okay, that's fine.
Senate Democrats urge Supreme Court Justice to investigate Clarence Thomas luxury trips. Senate Judiciary Committee's Democratic majority called for an investigation into the senator's trips funded by a Republican mega donor. Not a surprise. The committee announced in the letter it would hold a hearing in the coming days on the need to restore confidence in the Supreme Court's ethical standards. Well, I don't know what ethical standards they're thinking of, but there really isn't much, and that goes both ways. The Democrats also warned that they would consider legislation to resolve the issue if the High Court does not do so on its own. The Senate Judiciary Committee's Democratic majority called for the investigation. Chief Justice Roberts should immediately open a probe into how much conduct could take place on his watch. Dick Durbin of Illinois, who's another political lifer, but, if it's going against the other team, he'll step in and do what he has to do.
Metalopoly, 1,000%, we believe Tara Reid. We've covered her. We've had her on the show. Check it out.
Yeah. The letter came 3 days after Thomas said he had been advised early in his tenure as a Supreme Court justice that this sort of personal hospitability was what I thought it was saying, but I read it too quick. Hospitality from close personal friends who did not have business before the court was not reportable. I mean, that is like, you're trying to play dumb here. The 74-year-old justice who is
this is somebody who sits on the highest court in the land. And he's actually pleading ignorance when we know, and this is, by the way, day one of law school, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And that's what's so fascinating to me, that's what he's going with.
The 74-year-old justice who served on the nation's highest court since 1991 was responding to ProPublica's report last Thursday that he had accepted expensive trips from wealthy GOP donor Harlan Crow for more than 2 decades. So this has been going on for quite some time, it would appear. And the investigation, which cites a range of documents and interviews, also quotes ethics experts who said Thomas appears to have violated a disclosure law by not reporting the trips. But some judicial ethics experts have said Thomas may not have been required to report the trips under the rules that had been in place before they were updated last month. Here's the bottom line. Whether it is the behavior of Mr. Thomas's wife, whether it is the decisions that he has made on the court, the fact that, Jen, you have pointed out many times, he is basically a justice who just sits there, who doesn't do anything. He just rubber stamps whatever the right wing.
He was basically just like mini Rehnquist for years and years. I mean, that was just the thing. He was just going to do what Rehnquist said.
And
I never found him impressive. I always found him disgusting and misogynistic. And now, now he's got company on there too. So it's all disappointing to me. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing.
Why does the story matter? The story matters because is it likely, more than likely, that Justice Thomas has committed crimes of such egregious nature that he could very well be subject to impeachment and removal from the court? Yes, I'm sure that he has. And this is only what you're seeing on the surface. I'm sure what is behind the scenes is even much, much worse. And so as a result of that, the question now becomes, so if in fact,
you don't know a thing about me, dude.
Yeah.
I actually am pretty constitutionalist myself, and he is not that at all. And you don't know what you're talking. Read his decisions. You're just
Metalopoly is just defending his conservative line, and that's okay.
I know.
Do what you want.
But you're wrong about him as a jurist.
Yeah, no, the point is if the Democratic side is so concerned about the future of this country and thinks that the Supreme Court is essentially the line that is drawn in the sand, where you would say that all these other things don't matter because with a 6-3 court, it only will get worse if we do not take drastic action. Well, you know what? Here's your opportunity to take drastic action. And the House has nothing to do with this. This is all Senate. This is a Democratic majority Senate. They absolutely have the numbers. If they want to bring this forward, they could. And by doing so, they could theoretically, it's 2 years out, they could theoretically impeach Thomas and replace him with a liberal judge that would make it a 5-4 court. And considering how Justice Roberts has a history of being a true independent swing voter on the court, that going from 6-3 to 5-4 is a generational change. It's that significant.
I have zero confidence that this president is gonna be able to get somebody sitting there when Obama wouldn't even be able to get Merrick Garland on.
Well,
and
of course, the argument
they're
is
going to be able to just appoint somebody, and that this Senate is going to just go with that. Yeah, see, I don't see it happening. So,
well, I agree with you that it's likely to happen. But the reason that this is an important talking point is that in the very near future, when Biden is trying to win re-election again, and people are saying, how in the hell is this happening all over again? And they say, yeah, we know Joe's not so good, but you got to vote for him because if he doesn't, Thomas is going to retire and either Trump or DeSantis is going to put another conservative judge on the court for another 30 years. It's the same stupid game that's going to repeat itself over and over again. So fight for it right now. You have the opportunity. Why not fight for it? That's what you should do.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.